Okay, we're live.
Good evening, Bill. Good evening, Jamin. Can you hear us? Jamin, can you hear me? Good evening, Jamin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can. Thank you.
Excellent.
William?
Thanks, guys.
Can you hear me, William? Connecting to audio. William, can you hear me?
Yes, somehow I accidentally left the meeting, but anyway, I'm here now again.
Right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and start this council study session for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 at 6:01 p.m. So we do not have any old business on the agenda. Unless somebody has something, old business. So if not, we're going to go ahead and move on to number 3 for new business. Discussion of collection bargaining agreement between the city of Mapton and Teamsters Local number 760 as of January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026. So you have a packet that was given out to y'all. And we did bargaining back in October. I want to say October, maybe September. Yeah. So we were in bargaining for about a day and a half, I want to say, and not much really changed, I don't think, with the agreement. Are you able to hear me there? Do I sound muffled? Jamin, do I sound muffled?
Just a little bit, but I can still hear you.
Bill, do I sound muffled to you?
Same answer. Yeah, you're a little muffled. I can make out what you're saying, but
How about right there?
that's a little better, I think.
Okay. Too close. Okay. So if you just want to look over the agreement, if there's, anything that you think doesn't look right. We didn't change anything, did we, Bill?
Well, I first saw this, I was first provided this about 5 o'clock today, so
Oh.
I noticed a couple things that stood out to me, but I don't know if they're changed. I can look real quick to see if there's a different between the last time. I have a question on part 8.5, trial period of 30 days. I'm wondering how that's different than the probationary period of 6 months. It may not be cause any harm, but I just don't understand what's the point of saying there's a trial period of 30 days, which can be extended, but a new employee is on probationary status for 6 months regardless. But I don't want to make you go back to the union for something that doesn't make any difference anyway, but it's just a question that arose from first seeing this late today.
I believe in the past it has been 6 months. Yeah, so I guess we can go back. And I thought we had 6 months.
It does not look like it's a change from before, and now that I've had a chance to look at the last one. So it may be inconsequential, but it's something I would, if I was included in the original discussions, I would have probably wondered I guess I'd have a concern that an employee could say, well, here it says I'm only got a trial period of 30 days. And the 6 months is somehow a mistake and I'm entitled to be a full-fledged employee after 30 days, but I don't think they'll be able to successfully do that. But again, I guess I wonder what is the point if you're a probationary employee for 6 months, why are we saying they're on a trial period for 30 days, which can be extended? It may just be kind of an enhanced warning period where, you can't count on anything those first 30 days, but you can't count anything really for 6 months anyway. So again, it was in the last one, so I don't want to make you have to go back to the union and start over, so to speak, if you don't think it's not been a problem in the past, apparently, but
Um, I personally haven't had a problem with that, but I can bring it up to Teamsters. I can reach
okay.
out to them.
Again, I don't want to ruffle any feathers if you're trying to get it finished with that, unless there's a real problem, but if you're something else I had noticed here, and I haven't had a chance to see if it was different than last time, but 10.7 says, it talks about being on standby, and if you're asked to be in standby, you have to report very soon, like within 40 minutes or something like that. And you can only opt out if under the same criteria that you would qualify to be on sick leave. But I'm wondering I didn't see anywhere of how long of notice you have to give an employee to be on standby, other than they're supposed to report within 40 minutes. So what if it doesn't address the question of what if they're on vacation, already been given leave or vacation or something like that? I guess it could be read to not apply to somebody who's already on vacation or something, but the only way you can opt out is if you're sick. So I guess what if somebody didn't ask for vacation, but it was their days off? Obviously, to be on standby, it means you're not regularly scheduled. So what if you say, well, we already had a trip out of town planned for a wedding or something, and this says only if you're qualified for sick leave can you opt out. So it just seems to create a potential issue, but of not giving somebody adequate notice. But let me see if there's any difference from the existing version.
Kira and the chief have a question.
You know who's on standby before that time
Yeah.
comes anyway. Okay, that's.
Yeah, I usually know on that Friday who's going to be on standby, on call that weekend. So what the guys are doing is they rotate weekends. And if someone has plans that weekend already, that has planned something like, let's say, months in advance, they just switch.
Okay, so they already know just from that rotation schedule that they could be on standby that
Yes.
weekend. Okay, I get it. So,
And then real quick for the PD, it's, we talk amongst ourselves on who's going to be on standby. So we always communicate with each other, and we make sure that if somebody has something that came up or they're on vacation, then we'll find another alternative until we get somebody. So we work it out amongst ourselves in the PD. I don't know everybody else, but yeah, so it's never been an issue for us as far as how we operate. We always have somebody. We're flexible and we always have somebody.
okay, yeah, not an issue then. Another thing, it's 13.1. This is in the last version, so, and I'm sure it's not really been an issue, but it says pay is on a bi-monthly payment system, and I believe it's more accurate to say it's a semi-monthly. It's twice a month. Bi-monthly would mean every 2 months, but I'm sure everybody knows what the system is once they get their on board. It's just next year you may want to correct that, because I think that's a typo, but again, I'm sure the actual system is obvious to everybody, but it just should be corrected sometime in the future.
Yeah, I'll let, Teamsters know so we can get that.
I guess the part I would have liked to have a little more time to look at is whether the grievance and disciplinary parts, but if there's no changes to that, then
Well, Bill, you can still, look over it. We can bring it back by the end of, or to the next meeting because that one is.
oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know how soon
Yeah.
we needed to sign
And we
this.
just have to have
Okay.
it, if I'm correct, by the end of the year and have it all, okay by the council.
Okay.
That way we can all look at it too and see if we need any changes.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and we'll, table. Yeah. We'll go ahead and, you'll have an additional time to look it over along with the council.
There's a copy that has what the changes are. I don't have a copy of this one. Does this one have what the changes are?
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Yeah, so there is a copy out there that has what the changes are, so you don't have to read the whole thing, but it'll show all the highlighted changes from the last contract.
and what we can
Okay.
do too is we can, get a hold of the Teamsters and see if we can do a Zoom with you and just kind of go over it.
Okay,
before,
sure.
next council. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So we'll have additional time to look at that. Okay.
And make those last few changes before, yeah.
And then if he catches any others, then. So then now we'll go ahead and go on to D. Discussion of ordinance for 2023-21, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1007, establishing Mapton City Hall office hours. So this was what we talked about at our last meeting, and it passed. So that in here, really?
Yeah, the ordinance is in there.
So if you want to look over your ordinance and anybody have any questions on that?
Do they say every day, till 5:30?
Okay.
The girls, the account money?
No, they say till 5.
Yeah, till 5.
Till 5. They're in it. They're here at 8, if I'm correct. And you leave at 5. So at 4:30, they will be closing the doors to the public, and they'll take those last 30 minutes to count, do any public records requests, any filing, anything that hasn't been able to be done within the workday or those couple of, within the week, they'll have time to finish that up. They'll have those last 30 minutes to do what needs to be done. So if the city hall will still open, they'll still be here at 8. Doors open at 9, and doors will close to the public at 4:30. And they'll still have to be here till 5. No, nope, they're not closing at lunch. No. The office will stay open during lunch hours, and it hasn't been closed. You guys have been open. So,
I believe it says it may be closed just in case we're short-staffed or something, yeah.
But last meeting, you said that they had to stay for overtime to,
no, that they're going into overtime, a little bit right now to count the money.
So the reason why that's been an issue, it's because like for example, this week is very busy because the bills are due on the 15th and we close right at 5, and we still have customers going in like at 5:57, and it does take time to like count all the money and then also count the checks. So that's how come.
I never seen anybody staying after 5. I live right there and I watch all the vehicles. Everybody's gone by 5 o'clock, exactly.
You watch this like every day or
Yeah, I live across the street.
okay.
I mean, I look out my window and I can see you guys and everybody's gone by 5 o'clock.
I can go back and I can look to see.
Yeah, because
I mean, I can look at their time cards because their time cards, they have to punch out. So the time card, the only one that does not punch out is Larry, but the girls have to
I
punch
see
out.
Larry.
What time did I leave yesterday?
Yesterday, I went to go pick up my little girl at school. I left about 5:10. She was still there. And I picked her up at 5:30. I come back and you were already gone. I didn't see your car there. You must have moved
I
it.
might have moved it.
Yeah.
The girls, Grace and Marlon both
the,
count money.
the customer service clerks count the money. Yeah, they're in charge of the. Yep.
And they have to have two, is my understanding, is what we were told. And so Yuli is like just the backup to if they're missing, you know, not missing, but if something is short or they are over, they have to find it that night. So Yuli has to intervene or Larry helps. They have to find that. So that's kind of what we're trying to, you know, not go over the 5 o'clock.
And it's not like we're short like on the till. It's not like we're missing money. No, that's not the case. It's just that sometimes numbers get entered differently, or like just a little simple mistake will throw off the whole till, and it's not, that doesn't mean that we're like short on money or, you know, it's just like little mistakes that pulled us back from leaving right at 5. Yeah.
And I know that we did get flagged. If it, you know, if there was a shortage, or how was that flagged?
Yeah, well, our spreadsheet will be off. Yeah, it would be off. So yeah, but it's nothing like nothing major, just little mistakes that we need to find and fix.
5, 10, 5, 15, then we have to, yeah. So it's just easier like that, and you know, to get caught up on what needs to be caught up.
Yeah.
Right, any other questions on that? So we'll go ahead and move on to C, discussion of well 7, the update and the change order from GNO. So Jamin?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
So just wanted to follow up with you guys. I'm going to turn my my sound up a little bit, make sure I hear questions. Just wanted to give you guys a few things, items of update with regard to the well 7 project. If you remember, we talked about a month ago about the disappointing results from well 8, and the aquifer was not as productive as was expected. We had that in discussion in depth and kind of game plans, different scenarios of how the city would proceed. Since then, we're moving forward with the drilling of the second well, as we discussed at that council meeting. We've requested approval of the alternate location next to well 5. This well was going to be drilled, again, as a reminder, the second well was going to be drilled next to well 6. But given the poor results of the well drilled at the well 4 location, the thought was, well, it didn't work well in this area. Let's try to move further away. And also, you know, if you remember from a couple years ago, the city did some sampling of residential wells around Mapton, and generally the water quality got better to the north and to the east. So the thought is, well, we had, you know, we didn't have good production out of the aquifer at that location, at the well 4 location. Additionally, we've gotten the water quality sample results back now since then. When we talked then, we only had a few and it didn't look good. We've gotten more, and it's just really not a very good quality of water either. And so it's really disappointing all the way around to not have a lot of water and have it be, you know, high in nitrates. And so given the city's water quality samplings show that nitrates would tend to decrease to the north or east, if we move further away towards the east, towards well 5, it increases our chances of a higher water quality, better water quality. And this is what we've talked about with the hydrogeologist for the project. You know, this is their recommendation, is let's move further away. We have that request into health to approve that. They have to approve the site, and we have the request into health to approve the site at well 5 as the site of the secondary well. It'd probably be drilled back behind the existing building. We try to use the existing building as much as possible, but we'll have to get into that design and then route into the existing piping. So that request, we're waiting on approval from health for that. I anticipate that it will be approved, but we're waiting on that. Right now, the driller is looking probably at January. Right now, they're on another job right now, and then they need to give their employees a week off at Christmas. And so they're thinking probably January is when they'll be out starting drilling the next well. So that's item one. That's the update of where we're at. Item two is that we have an opportunity that I want to run past you guys. Just in the last few days, working with the contractor, working with the hydrogeologist, we've started to vet the idea of drilling a test well. Normally, when you're drilling wells, some people like to drill test wells first. That's not something we normally recommend. It's not something we normally encourage, because usually if you have a high probability of success of the well, drilling the test well just is a bunch of extra money and you get the same end result, right? It's an additional cost and it doesn't really get you anything because you generally are operating on pretty good odds for success. In this circumstance, given the way the first well went, what we found in the aquifer, the water quality, the aquifer conductivity that we found, this is an opportunity where it might make sense to drill a test well first. I was hoping to have a change order for you guys to consider so you could approve it. We just were getting costs from the contractor this afternoon for a test well, so I don't have that in front of you. But the idea is that for a smaller cost, we can drill a smaller well there. It'd be a sonic well drilling, so it's a different type of well drilling. It would give us a very good indication of the materials that we're finding in the ground. What is the aquifer, type of soils in the aquifer, and then they would test it and they would be able to tell us, yeah, this is good, let's drill the production well, or no, this is bad as well. And then we're able to walk away without as much expenditure, right? We're not spending the full cost of a production well there. But if it's good, then we'll put the production well literally in the exact same spot. Again, normally we wouldn't go this route, but given the difficulty with the aquifer there, it's something to consider, and we recommend that you guys consider it. I think we lean towards thinking it would be a reasonable expenditure at this location, and should be covered within the funding for the funding agency. So, couple things to consider. The cost would be around $70,000 for the test well. Your cost for the full production well is around 200 to 220,000. So it's less than a third, or roughly a third of the cost of the production well. We saved about 23,000 on the last well. We came in under budget and we saved some money. I anticipate we'd save some money on this one. So, we have some savings in the project that would offset a portion of this cost. Ultimately, this is all covered by a CDBG grant. And so it's not city funds at this point. It's CDBG grant funds. And so, that's how it would be funded. Next point, the sonic driller. So the driller that would do this test well is ready to go, it sounds like, in the next couple weeks. So they would be potentially able to go drill the test well in the next week or two, get the results, and still, if everything's good, still start the production well in January. So it wouldn't really delay us. It doesn't really push us back a lot. It gets us more information. If the results are bad, then we can call a timeout and not drill the big well, right? Because we know there's no reason to drill the big well. Or if we get good results, we get good data from the test well, we're able to go into the production well with more information and a better game plan because we have more information. So that's the idea. In order for the contractor to proceed, if something you guys want to do, you want to move forward with, in order for the contractor to proceed in the next couple of weeks, we'll need to get a change order in place. Because we just got costs today, there wasn't a change order ready for the council agenda tonight. However, I think if you guys are comfortable with it, you could certainly approve a change order, to an amount of, we could pick an amount that we know it's going to be under. You would approve it tonight. We'd write the change order in the next couple of days and then get the mayor's signature. And so I think you could pre-approve that amount, and that would let us continue to move, get the test well done, so that it won't delay the production drilling. So, I'm sorry, it's kind of wordy, but I wanted you guys to have the full picture of the option, and to be able to make a good decision on this. Any questions on that? I know this is study session, so you're not going to vote on anything right now, but happy to answer any questions about that.
So we're gonna go ahead and bring it back at 7 o'clock, and we'll be able to So
Certainly.
this would start- If we did like the test, the opportunity to do the test one, the well,
Mhm.
that one would start in January.
My understanding is the driller could get out there potentially in the next couple of weeks and get the test well
Okay.
done. Then we'd be able to get results over Christmas of the test well and then still start the big well in January if the results were good. So the upshot is, here's the upshot. The upshot is if this works, if the well is good, you'll end up paying a little bit more for it because you will have gathered more information before you do it. If it's bad, then all you're out is the money for the test well and you don't spend the money on the production well. And that leaves some money in the grant that then we would have to figure out, okay, big picture, what does the city want to do next? And talk to the funding agency. But that money would still be there to potentially, be able to use if depending on what the funding agency will agree to and what the city decides its next step would be. So essentially you're paying some money for the test well to mitigate the risk of the production well not performing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We've been talking all internally and with our hydrogeologists, we've kind of been chasing this around, trying to make sure, we're bringing you guys good information on this so you can make a good decision. Any other questions on that?
Well, you said the 70,000 would come from a grant and it's about a third of what the production well is. What if the production well is successful? Is it then another 140,000 or so for a production well, or is
No,
it the
it's
220?
it's the 200 to 220. The last well was about 200. The original estimate is about 225. We came in about 25-ish, 23,000 some under budget. This well will probably be a little under budget too because it's a little shallower, and so we have some cost savings built in. And so savings from both of the two wells would cover most of the additional cost of the test well. But yeah, I was trying to think of a way that they'd get us some savings. Ultimately, it's different drill rigs that they're bringing, so it's not like, oh, well, they're already on site. It's different rigs, so we don't save in terms of mob. There really isn't a lot of savings there. It's just truly an additional cost to get more information. So in the perfect world of unlimited schedules, unlimited budgets, we would go, at the very beginning, we'd go drill a whole bunch of test wells all over and find the best spots, right? But number one, funding schedules don't allow that. Number two, there's just not budget for that. Funders don't want to pay for test wells, right? And so typically, when you're drilling an aquifer, you have enough chance of success that it's not worth, mitigating the risk by paying for a test well. It's only in this circumstance where the first well showed that there was poor water quality and poor water, the aquifer wasn't good, that it was like, in this circumstance, given what we've experienced, maybe it makes sense. Where if the test well shows, similar results, then you haven't spent the grant money for the full well. So it's a gamble. It helps that it's a gamble using, it's not city funds, but still, it's their valuable grant funds, and it is a gamble of risk versus reward.
All right.
I know, Mayor, thirdly, you asked me to talk about the water sample results a little bit. Do you want me to do that now?
Yes, please.
So if you remember from a few weeks ago, Department of Health worked with Department of Ecology, and they did some extensive sampling of the city's water. Ecology paid for that. They used an independent lab to process those samples, and they sampled at each of the 3 wells, as well as a few places around town. We just got those results, I think, on Friday. I haven't gone through them with a fine-tooth comb. I didn't see if any exceedances. There weren't very many. Most of them were all good. There were all the things that we know are in the water. There's some manganese, some iron, some different things. The things that we knew were there that could be contributing to some taste and odor issues. There wasn't a lot of like, oh wow, that's an exceedance. The city's out of compliance, right? Because the city is in compliance for your water quality sampling. But there are some constituents that, while in compliance with the state requirements, can still cause some odor or taste or appearance issues. Manganese being the most predominant, but a few others. And so the next step, but honestly, they weren't like crazy, above the limit. They were like, okay, it's half the limit, right? That kind of thing. Haven't gone through it in detail yet. But the next step is that we're going to take those results, and then you've already contracted with us to prepare a treatment options memo. And so we're going to take those results. I'm coordinating to get our team started on it. And we'll write a memo that summarizes those results and then says, okay, given what is in, based on these samples, here's some recommendations of what you could do to treat those constituents. What do you have to do to take that out? And we'll give you an option or 3, depending on the results, with preliminary cost estimates. At that point, if the city wanted to proceed, you could go to funding agencies and say, see, we did this study, we've found, we have a path forward, please give us money to build a treatment facility. And so that will be the next piece. Looking at the schedule, you'll likely see that in mid to late January. You'll likely see a draft of that memo for your review. And then that will be the next piece and should give you some good information going into next year.
That's good news. Those were the tests that people were asking for, to get a third party involved. And we had Andres Cervantes come in and he spoke. And then we had Sunnyside come in and do the testing, if I'm correct. And they did send it out and, got it tested. Can't remember the name of the company, but
Anatech in Moscow and Spokane did all the sampling. Yeah, they sent it to just for third-party verification of sample results.
Just to, give people some peace of mind, everything that's been going on with water. So that's good news for the city. Thank you, Jamin.
Yeah, you bet.
So we're gonna go on to the 4. Are we doing executive session right now? Okay, so what that's supposed to go on the 7th, the agenda. Yeah, 7 o'clock. Okay. So I guess if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 6:33 and see y'all back at 7.